On Issues and Insiders today, we touch upon the latest Korean work of literature that is garnering rave reviews from critics in the US. Hello and welcome to Issues and Insiders. It's Thursday here in Korea and I'm Sun-hee. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with the author and the translator of a critically acclaimed Korean novel in the US. I have Park So-young, the author of Snowglobe, here in the studio. So it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I also have Joungmin Lee Comfort, the translator of the novel Snowglobe. Joungmin, it's great to have you with us online.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Right, so we'll start here in the studio then. Let's begin with a synopsis perhaps of your novel. What is the story about?
Yes, so it's a dystopian young adult novel about the journey of finding true value of ourselves with unique settings. So Snowglobe demonstrates a new ice age caused by the climate change that we are going through right now. So the most people live in the frozen wasteland, while only a few live in the soul-warm city looking like a giant snow globe. So in exchange of the warm and wealthy lifestyle of Snowglobe, the residents' lives are broadcast to the open world for the people outside as an entertainment, like The Truman Show or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So what's happening in this world is a twisted version of Cinderella. So an ordinary girl, Cho-bam, of the open world who works at a power plant, she is asked to be a stand-in for the most loved celebrity from the most watched show overnight because the celebrity killed herself. So that's how she steps into Snowglobe, but she slowly gets close to the dark and dangerous secrets of the glass flippers she's in. So while readers follow the breathtaking story, they will be asked that, would you give up your privacy for a wealthy life? And would you give up yourself to be someone special? So the journey of Cho-bam will let readers have the moment to think about these matters.
Right, I see. And speaking about journey, Joungmin, walk us through your initial encounter with So-young's novel and how did you come across it? What led your decision, that is, to translate it?
Sure. So my amazing agent contacted me one day and asked me to check out this quite fantastic young adult sci-fi for a potential sample work. And I was a tad bit skeptical because I had never done or even read a Korean young adult before, but I had done a few sci-fis and enjoyed it tremendously. So I agreed to give it a go. And when I finally got to reading it a couple of weeks later, I just couldn't put it down. It was such a page turner. The setting, the characters, the plot, and the twists, and all the twists, really, I was blown away. And the funny thing is, despite my initial hang-ups about the young adult label, I almost instantly started hearing the narrative voice in English. And I'm sure a lot of translators would agree that getting the voice down is half the battle. So this coupled with So-young's amazing, masterful storytelling and fluid writing style, I couldn't wait to get to work.
Right, and So-young, what was the inspiration behind your story, the Snowglobe?
Yeah, so Snowglobe was inspired by new media trends such as vlogs and social media, because nowadays someone's life online has become the most frequent and important entertainment we enjoy on a daily basis. So it got me curious, what if we keep going in this direction nonstop? So I imagine a future where we can the most important thing for survivor is watching others' lives and being part of content oneself. Because we are already living in the world where fame has become the most significant element of everything, and privacy has already become the new currency. You share your experiences, your life, and yourself, then in return you get dollars. So I believe that when readers read Snowglobe, they would feel the world they are following in the book is not that far from where we are.
And I believe I asked you this question before we met here in the studio. How long did it take you to draft up the first version of this story?
So it took me like only 4 months to write the first draft. So I'm quite a quick writer, but it wasn't the whole process. Of course, there were many like revising and more process after that. But it took me not that long time because I don't know, the world was already there inside my head, I guess.
And all you had to do was put it down on paper.
Yes.
Joungmin, Snowglobe has been garnering quite a number of rave reviews there in the US. What do you believe is the appeal to the American audience?
Well, it's a great story and a timely story that reflects multiple hot topics that occupy the minds of a lot of people across the globe these days, regardless of their culture or language. And it's a highly engaging and entertaining one at that. So from page one, it drops us into this fascinating universe of post-apocalyptic Earth where new and extreme physical environment has reshaped our existence. But humanity will still be humanity, right? And the rich and the powerful have once again managed to rig a system that justify their rule over the suffering masses. So there's the eternal issue of class struggle, and there's also reality TV, celebrity worship, and just young people struggling with their identity and discovering who they are and what they are made of when thrown into extreme and challenging situations. So there's that, but there's also the obvious fact that it's an authentic Korean novel, originally written for the Korean audience by a Korean writer, and a massively talented one at that, I should add. And this fact alone might be a great point of attraction for many Americans because, to be frank, the Korean brand is so hot right now. And it's a great time to be a Korean, and I'm just so thrilled and grateful for all the attention that it's been garnering.
Right, indeed. So as Joungmin mentioned, your book, it touches upon a host of issues, some of which you mentioned a bit earlier as well. Now, from climate change, you touch upon social inequality as well. Simply speaking, what message are you seeking to share with your audience through your story?
Yes, so the climate change was the essential background of the world I created, and I could not demonstrate the world without mentioning social inequality. And yet, what I wanted to share with my readers was personal identity, because I have been fascinated by personal identity my whole life, and I believe that protecting one's identity has become more important than ever, because we are living in the world where we can compare ourselves to a million people every minute just by scrolling on a smartphone. So it's getting harder and harder to shape and build our identity in our own way. So that's why I wanted to write a story telling us that the most important identity in the whole world is each one of us. And Snowglobe is all about that, because when Chobam is asked to be a stand-in for the most loved celebrity, she doesn't hesitate to be that person, to be someone special, someone else, because she just accepts the deal because she wanted to be someone special. So that's how she becomes the princess of the world. But she faces the inconvenient truth that what she abandoned is the most precious of all, which is her own self. So I hope that readers can have moments where they can embrace themselves once again the way they are and discover how special and valuable they already are throughout the journey of Chobam.
And speaking about Chobam, to what extent, do you suppose, does Chobam hold qualities that reflect you, perhaps?
Well,
That's a difficult question, I understand.
No, it's like sometimes people ask me, like, who's your favorite character in the book? And I cannot say it's Chobam because she's just so much like me, So if I say, oh, my favorite character is Chobam, it's like, oh, I love me. my favorite character is myself. It's just like that. So she reflects a lot of aspects of myself, but she is so much braver than I am. So that's how she could make some changes in that concrete system. So yes, she's way much braver version of myself. That's what I can say.
Joungmin, we typically, that is, speak about efforts to ensure that nothing is lost in translation. Now, having said that, what are your priorities, Joungmin, in translating works of literature?
Yeah, it's a great question. So my top priority as a literary translator is always to recreate the entire reading experience, including the joy of reading the particular book for the English readers who don't read the original. So this means I not only transfer the meaning, but any nuance, but also any nuance, rhythm, clarity, or intentional ambiguity, and any emotional impact that the author intended to deliver with the text as well. And with the Korean and English language pair, this means I have to make a great deal of creative decisions along the way to ironically stay true to the whole of the original, as opposed to unduly obsessing over the individual parts, because the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts, right? And that's why dialing into the voice in the beginning is critically important, because that's what informs all such creative and inarguably subjective decisions that I have to make along the way. But yeah, even with your best efforts, sometimes some things are lost in translation, as you said. And that's because you just can't save them all the time. And so in these instances, I decide what specific aspect of the language I want to bring out to achieve the particular desired effect at the moment, and that's the best I can do. But I also want to mention that things can be also found in translation, meaning you can remind the readers that as much as they relate to the book and relate to the characters, it is rooted in another culture different than their own, and therefore it has something new and different to tell you. And I think this is one of the great joys of reading a translated book, being exposed to new things, new ways of being, new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at the world. So, yeah, I mean, without this aspect of the reading experience, there would hardly be any point of reading a translated book, right?
I like that, the phrase of finding things in translation. And that being said, perhaps among your subjective and creative decisions then, Joungmin, was that the reason why you chose to stick to some of the Korean words like ajumma and perhaps the cultural practice of eating miyeokguk on birthdays without going into the explanation of why that was so?
Oh, for sure. So yeah, I'll start with the miyeok soup. So obviously, I didn't expect the average American reader to be familiar with miyeok soup or with our practice of having it on birthdays. But yes, I left the Korean word intact without added elaboration because one, there were plenty of contextual clues around it that hinted at what it was and our practice of eating it on birthdays. And two, you ultimately translate for the time that you live in, and we live in the age of the internet. So my thinking was that if an American reader wants to learn more about miyeok soup, a simple Google search can help them scratch that itch. So yeah, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth interrupting the flow by inserting something that obviously wasn't there in the original for the Korean readers. With ajumma, it's a little bit more complicated. I had originally done away with it altogether upon unsuccessfully fiddling with auntie, ma'am, and a couple of other options that just fit like a square peg in a round hole. And the decision to resurrect it by taking it across in Romanesque Korean came later, after I had already submitted the translation to the editor. And yeah, so it was one day when I was idly thinking about the manuscript and the decisions I made that the scruples I had about having left out ajumma began to grow. Because ajumma, I mean, for those in the know, it's such a loaded term, and you don't want to throw it around lightly, right? So, for instance, I'm technically on ajumma, but who wants to be called that, right? And in the book, the main character uses it to address another character, another female character, with a specific intent to show her disdain for that character. But then, as the relationship evolves, the way the title is used also begins to evolve, and it ends up signifying the trust and closeness between the two initial adversaries. So it's the more I thought about it, the more its role became meatier, and so I was already swaying towards bringing back the title into the text and words borrowed from other cultures and even made up terms, which readers are not familiar with initially, but would go on to embrace. And that made me think, why couldn't Snowglobe do that for Ajumma, or all the Korean Ajummas, past and present, who are in fact the unsung heroes, or sheroes, I guess, heroines, of the country's stunning economic and social progress.
Well, as an avid reader of that book as well, I have to say, as an ajumma myself, I'm grateful you left the word as it is, right? Now, moving forward, Soyoung. Broadly speaking, as Joungmin mentioned, it's a great time to be a Korean with K-pop, K-music, K-dramas. Broadly speaking, how do you explain the growing interest across the globe in Korean literature in recent years?
Well, there are monumental books such as Please Look After Mom, The Vegetarian, and Cursed Bunny that have captured the attention of global readers to Korean literature. However, I cannot talk about Korean Wave without mentioning that significant contributions of other Korean content like Parasite and Squid Game. Well, because Snowglobe has been compared to them frequently ever since around the time its publication. And what surprised me the most during the recent American book tour of Snowglobe was that American readers, American people like Joungmin's husband, they have been enjoying Korean dramas so much. So Squid Game was just one of them. And they said the K-drama storytelling style is very similar to some of their American novels. That's how they found K-dramas amusing. And I believe that throughout this kind of experience of getting familiar with Korean movies and Korean series, I think they are very much ready to dive into various Korean novels. That's how Snowglobe could be in the New York Times bestseller list right after it's published. I believe that people around the world they have now learned that made in Korea fictional stories are very good. That's why I strongly believe that it's time for Korean literature to be a part of global people's cultural life.
And so, what are your thoughts about Snowglobe, your story, moving from paper to the screen?
Well, I feel so privileged because, I cannot wait for the day that I can see the world that I created on the screen. It's such a dreams come true moment, one of my biggest dreams come true moment. And I believe that people would be so much amused by the moving characters and all the unique scenes, especially for the part plant, because it's gonna be so sweaty and gloomy. But right after that scene, people would see a wonderland of Snowglobe. So there would be so many stuff to enjoy from the movies or series.
The juxtaposition would be amazing, of course.
Yes.
Joungmin, pundits believe translation looks to play a crucial role, of course, in boosting the presence of Korean literature on the global stage. What are your thoughts? I
can only agree with the pundits and echo what Soyoung has just said. I think she said it brilliantly.
Joungmin, if there was more that could be done to bolster the trade of translation where the Korean language is concerned, what would you say?
So yeah, as to how to bolster the trade where the Korean language is concerned. Well, first of all, let me express my deep gratitude for the Korean government's powerful boost over the past couple of decades that really helped put Korean literature and other content out onto the international stage, and I hope that'll continue. I also would like to share a comment, I guess, I received during the book tour that I got to take part in alongside Soyoung. So a reader approached me to specifically tell me how gratifying it was for her to finally see a Korean author-translator pair. And though technically I'm a naturalized US citizen now, I understood exactly what she meant. Because as a translator who translates into her second language, as opposed to her native tongue, actually English is my third language, but anyway, you can tell by my non-native accent that I'm not a native English speaker. And I'm a minority in the field, and frankly, an incredibly lucky one who were given the rare opportunity to prove that it doesn't always have to be a native English speaker from a Western world who has a formal educational background in literature or translation and who began studying the Korean language in an academic setting. And given that literary translation is such a subjective art to which the individual translator inevitably brings a lot of their own world, the field can only be enriched with more diversity.
For sure, Joungmin, for sure. So let's end with a few words now about your plan for this year.
Well, obviously, the most and biggest plan for this year is to keep writing stories. And I have been working on my new book. It's a supernatural sci-fi about a woman who is 660 years old. The reason why she is unrealistically old is because she's been cursed by a supernatural existence to be the last person to die. Therefore, she cannot die until everyone else dies before her. So, but she's not immortal nor invincible. She's just an ordinary person who has to suffer the sorrows of life and the inevitable loneliness of being human and the emptiness of existence for endless amount of time. That's why she wants every single human to die so that she can end her life. And her dreams come true by a space disaster one day. And we follow her journey of dying, where she might have a chance to find the light of her life once again. And also, I will be meeting my readers with the book I published last September. It's called 내가 있는 요일 in Korean title. And Snowglobe 2, the sequel translated into English, is coming out in the spring of 2025. So I cannot wait to read the translated script by Joungmin. And please wait for more adventure of Snowglobe.
Right, of course. Will Joungmin be translating your next book as well?
She's working on it right now.
Right, good to know, good to know. All right, Soyoung, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today. And Joungmin, thank you very much for your comments.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Most welcome. All right then, well, on that note, we end this edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching.